It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Now, my favorite part of the show, wherein I guess what's in Tim's background. And I'm going to say, Tim, in bad taste, you've got chestnuts roasting on an open fire behind you, not because you haven't cleaned up after Christmas, but because the open fire is Southern California. Am I right? Or
well, that's kind of funny. I was watching David Muir last night, and he was saying there used to be a lot of restaurants on this corner, places where you could eat. And I go, well, you still can if you like s'mores. No, I figured that would be your first guess, so I went with something else.
Okay, let's see.
Apparently Trump has been quite busy.
Oh yeah, the Gulf of America. Speaking of David Muir, I mean, we'll talk out of order here a little bit. Of course, you know the biggest controversy over the fire is, did you see? I mean, and we have the license to talk about David Muir because, you know, there's a lot of Johnny come latelys on this, or Johnny's come lately on this, but we've been talking about David Muir for a long time. You have cred because you were forced to watch the ABC News World Tonight all the time. We have praised David Muir because there's a shot of him in a helicopter where his guns, and I'm not talking about some weaponry procured by the military, I'm talking about his biceps,
right,
are fully displayed. Oh my God. And so have you seen the latest?
I think you sent it to me. I missed that.
So he's standing there in a yellow firefighter's jacket, and we got a shot of it right now. And as he turns, you can see a clothespin attached to the back. Now, actually, I saw a tweet from Albert Brooks saying, "You got to tell David Muir where you got that from." I got a feeling Albert Brooks must have used it in a movie that I don't recall right now. But you know, I just
I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that shot too, and it looks to me like he's in front of a green screen.
Oh, that would be the ultimate. But he also got ripped. He got ripped by everybody over this, including but not limited to Megyn Kelly, who just, you know, tore into him for being so cosmetic. And, you know, all I can think is, you are so right, girlfriend. And I just want to know, if your house burnt down, would the carpet match the drapes? That's all I'd like to know. So,
anyway. I noticed too that's an ABC fire jacket. It's actually got the ABC logo on the chest.
Because, you know, they don't just report on the news; they help people out too.
They make. Well, it just seems to me if ABC is ordering fire jackets, they could get ones that fit.
Well, they could do that, and I don't want to say I go on to see that man's fire hose, but
maybe they couldn't find his and they had to use Whoopi's.
It's possible. So, all right, back to the. Here's the thing about, and we'll get back to the fire later because it's as we say in the business, it has legs. So even when this is seen by people, it'll still be this. As a matter of fact, I think. I mean, who was it? Edward Heath, I think it was, or Macmillan, the Prime Minister of Britain, was asked, "What's the biggest thing, the biggest challenge that you faced during your administration?" And he said, "Events, dear boy, events." And this is the first event that it's actually preceding Trump getting into office, but it's going to help. I think it's going to be the metaphor, the illustration to define the next 4 years, because it's all of wokeness, DEI, environmental policies, everything, the whole kitchen sink thrown into this mess that people are going to recoil from, if not just flat out flee California. So, but you know,
it was 3/4 of ABC World News Tonight last night. It was like 3/4 of it. They took up the whole, and it was pretty much, we have nothing new to say, but look at this footage.
Well, you know.
Look at this devastation. Oh, we got people crying. Do you want to see some people crying? Oh, we got footage of people crying, let me tell you.
TV news loves a good fire. Let me tell you.
And then they came back from the break and they said Jimmy Carter laying in state. Donald Trump was certified.
Jimmy Carter's going to be dead forever. So,
it's the rest of the news was a WMAQ 2-minute break.
All right, so let's go back real quickly here to the Gulf of America. I'm loving this. Somebody tweeted to me, do you think Greenland will become part of the Big Ten? Which is really that's a good one because they're expanding so much. So the it's interesting that you have this stream going through Donald Trump right now, talking about expanding to Greenland. I've seen people saying that we should colonize the moon, call it the moon of America. My only regret is I won't live long enough for us to grab Uranus. But seriously,
Boink.
No, but
somebody pointed out changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America might be that 4D chess that you always talk about. Because all of Biden's executive orders banning drilling bans it in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh. I have a thing about this 4D chess thing with Trump. Somebody was talking about 3D chess. I think it still applies. It's the same. And have you considered the possibility that Trump doesn't even realize he's playing 3D chess? That if he ever did, he would realize the Olympian heights he's on. He would look down, then fall into the abyss and take Western civilization with him. He doesn't even realize his own genius. I got a feeling about that.
I've heard that excuse before.
Oh, okay.
Not quite sure. Not quite sure.
So
I believe it.
how do you reconcile this expansionism with the fact that Trump is basically an isolationist? I even saw, and it kind of gave me a chill, that he tweeted something that this self-loathing Jew named Jeffrey Sachs had told Tucker Carlson about Netanyahu causing all these wars. He's tweeting that at the same time that he's saying that there will be hell to pay for if the hostages are not released. Now, I guess there's some way of walking that fine line, but it does seem that, and Trump is in favor of spending more in the military. If we're expansionists, spending more in the military, but isolationist at the same time, it's a hard one for me, who can only barely play 2D chess, to figure that out.
Well, you need a strong military if you want to be isolationist. I mean,
I guess you got to get your
as every sovereign citizen in the Northwest who revoked their American citizenship can attest to. You can't be a sovereign country if you don't have a strong military. Fair
enough.
It's I don't see the big deal with Greenland. It's a colony of Denmark, right? Aren't we against colonialism? Don't you think that the left who opposes the colonialism would like us taking that colony and freeing them?
Yeah, liberate Greenland. The only thing I know about Greenland is that Greenland's the one that has ice, and Iceland's the one that's green. That is all. I don't know anything more about any of these countries.
PR, baby, PR.
Yeah. Well, I also know it being a colony of Denmark, if we started slapping tariffs, we're hurting something that's I forgot what they're really big on. Let's see. Taiwan is superconductors. What is Denmark? Denmark's got something that
breakfast pastry.
There we go. There we go.
They're still a monarchy too, aren't they? They're still a monarchy too, right? So we're liberating a colony from the king. Why are people opposed to that?
I don't know. I just got through watching The Crown, the British version, so I haven't made my way to the rest of the.
Meanwhile, 31 billion gallons or 31 billion barrels of oil underneath Greenland.
Oh, so there we go. It's going to be a drill baby drill thing.
It is the largest undiscovered oil reserve in the world now.
How many polar bears will we have to kill to do that?
Well, polar bears, smaller bears. We'll do them a favor.
Well, I mean, and of course, the drift right now is going to be, there's a lot of people in Southern California who are wondering, ooh, maybe we just took this environmental thing a little too far now that.
No, they're still saying that global warming causes the fire hydrants to go dry.
Yeah. Right. No reservoirs, no dams. Sure.
Well, I don't even know if it was a lack of reservoir. I think the pumps just rusted.
Oh, okay. Well, I just feel sorry for Billy Crystal losing his house. Where's your Messiah now? Yeah,
I feel sorry for all those celebrities. They had to choose between their children and their Oscars.
that's right.
Who did they
And like
save?
Jack Benny with Your Money or Your Life. I'm thinking. So, all right. Did you see? We were going to talk about. Oh, you know what I would love? Have you ever heard this guy Mark Halperin?
Yeah.
He's pretty. I mean, he's the guy like predicted the rise of Trump, like in
Sure.
2015, and he's a liberal. He's a Democrat, but he's supposedly very very knowledgeable. And he was just saying, I saw this yesterday. He thought Trump is really getting back to the 3D chess. He's really smart. You don't underestimate him. Whereas a guy that I also admire, Kevin Williamson, has always called him an imbecile. So I'd like to see a debate between those two guys, because I just don't think that Trump really always knows what he's doing, but it is just instinctive, and it isn't a straight line, and it's not consistent.
Huh?
Wrong?
Well, you could
Right?
you could be correct, or he could be a genius that likes to play dumb. It's sort of the Columbo routine.
You know what's going to be interesting? Somebody's predicting, and I think it's possible, that there will be a Supreme Court vacancy this year. I mean, because
I'm
Clarence
hearing
Thomas.
I'm hearing Eileen Cannon.
Okay, well, that would be great. Right. She gets rewarded for being the judge. That would be something. But I always thought that not owing Mitch McConnell anything anymore and being a lame duck for the next 4 years, that he might even put a moderate on the Supreme Court and really throw everybody off there. I know it's possible. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
We also need to be stronger together by overcoming an addiction to divisiveness and negativity. Join Allstate working in local communities all across America to amplify the positive, increase trust, and accept people's imperfections and differences. Together, we win.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. All I got to say is, I don't know if you've seen these commercials all through the football season, but State Farm's Andy Reid, coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, calling this one from the Allstate guy a bungle-rooski. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was, I mean, and I think they withdrew this from the Allstate website. I mean, Ed Reimers is rolling over in his grave right now.
I'm looking forward to the Allstate commercials during the Super Bowl. Hi, I'm Mayhem, and this is Bourbon Street.
Right. Mayhem couldn't have done worse. He couldn't have wrecked the image of Allstate worse. They really Bud Lighted themselves. Anyway, so President Biden did award some medals of freedom, but I was wondering if he would, or for one particular case, both a Medal of Freedom and a pardon to Liz Cheney. I was just wondering if that would have been a possibility. What do you think of the Medals of Freedom?
Boy, that's kind of like it's kind of like the end of the Wizard of Oz, there, isn't it? They couldn't give Liz Cheney a pardon or brain, so he gave her a medal.
There we go. Well, that's all you need. A little confidence boost. So Soros gets one.
I don't. I think when Trump gave one to Rush Limbaugh, he kind of opened the door for this.
I believe that. I totally agree with you on that. I mean, it was just like, okay, whoever cheers me on, it gets this. I mean, it was a nice send off for Rush.
Yeah, it was a sweet thing to do. Yeah. It also it also made Rush look like the worst actor in the world. That when Trump announced that he was going to get the Medal of Freedom, and he did that. I didn't know this was happening face.
Sure, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, you got to have a little showman in you. Well, a lot to be Rush Limbaugh.
So I mean, that kind of
I agree.
That kind of already debased the value of the Medal of Freedom. So
gotcha.
And if he hadn't have done that, I don't think Biden would have done this. I think this was was just retribution.
Yeah, I'm with you totally on that.
But for Soros, it's like the first piece of jewelry he didn't have to take from Jews.
Oh God, I mean, gee whiz. I mean, what this guy has wreaked so much havoc. I mean, he's responsible for crime rates going up in the United States. Gotta love that. All right, we'll move from that. So, did you see? I never know what to believe on Twitter, so you got to tell me. But it seems legit, and it would be nice. Chris knows that I don't actually, read the stories fully or or look at the clips, and maybe they're out of context. But here's one that Marco Rubio admitted that there are UFOs, and he's the incoming Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And he said this in this tweet by this Jim Ferguson of the UK. So yeah. But
well, I still stick to the theory that Secretary of State is the position you give to someone
Sure.
that annoys you and you want to get rid of.
Well, right.
It's why Barack gave it to Hillary and then John Kerry and
now you got Marco Rubio,
yeah,
trying to figure out how we defeat the Martians. But I mean, I just is that real? That you'd have somebody that high up say that and I know a lot of us, absolutely want to believe this. So, all right.
UFO essentially means unidentified flying object. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a spaceship
the
from
plain
another
ordinary meaning of UFO, Mr. Tinfoil Hat. I mean, come on. You think you'd believe in this? But
no, the UFOs that were so popular during the 50s and 60s turned out to be experimental aircraft.
Right. Next thing you're going to tell me is whatever happened to the drones? Remember the drones a couple of weeks ago?
Oh yeah.
What did that turn out to be?
Oh, look at the fire.
Exactly.
Look at the fire, everybody.
Look at the fire in California. All right, let's turn back to the fire. So Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, I mean, she pulled a Michael Bilandic. I don't know, you weren't around back then, but Michael Bilandic, the mayor of Chicago, was in Florida on vacation when we had a gigantic snowstorm.
Right.
And, he basically said, let them eat cake or let them eat, snowflakes. And he lost re-election because of that. That ushered in the Jane Byrne era. And here she's in Ghana, of all places. Okay. And okay, now I'm actually going to try and raise a defense for her because I actually saw somebody tweet this. Apparently she was warned like a couple of days beforehand. Hey, the Santa Ana winds are moving. There's, a big chance of this. So I'm willing to listen and say, how many times do they get these warnings and they turn out to be false alarms? So you go ahead because it might be a commonplace thing. There's also something that she apparently just sat there. Some reporter was asking her questions about why weren't you here? And she was dumbfounded and didn't say anything for 2 minutes. But then somebody else is saying, actually, her mic was very on low or something. So, all right, having said that, with those disclaimers, what is this babe doing out in Ghana when the fires are raging in Palisades Park?
It's one of those things. African Americans like to visit the motherland. They
I guess so.
It's and this was an opportunity to write it off on taxes. So she took the opportunity. And when she read the memo about the Santa Ana winds, she thought it said Santana and thought it was
there we go.
She thought it was a black magic woman insult.
Of course, there you go. And I guess you can't yell fire in a Los Angeles administration. It's not a lot. You're allowed. All right. So I'm thinking that there is a lot of money to be made from harvesting the salt from people fleeing California. Thank you, Tim. So
it was
that's going to be my biggest laugh from Tim for 2025.
It's one of my favorite Jay Leno lines. He said,
"Oh, really?"
He said, "Boy, if God leaves that standing, he's on Sodom and Gomorrah. An apology."
Okay. Well, variation on a Jay Leno theme there. So,
it's there's going to be some beachfront bargains available.
Oh yeah, well there and of course some people are blaming the insurance companies, those rapacious insurance companies like the aforesaid State Farm, because
hi, I'm Mayhem and this is Malibu.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: they capped the rates in California, so State Farm stopped writing the policies, or you're basically going to get 10 cents on the dollar. And so I feel real. Now, the question is which celebrities do you feel sorry for? Like James Woods, I feel sorry for. But Martin Short and Billy Crystal, even though I've enjoyed their humor, yeah, where's your Messiah now? Sure, I've enjoyed it, but hey, what are you gonna do, man? I mean, you want to have, your cake and eat it too. You want to live in this environmental paradise. You don't want to touch the smelt, and your house might go up with Mother Nature. It reminds me a little bit. Remember that guy? He thought he could live with the grizzly bear, and he did for a few years.
Yeah,
and
Tim
then one day
something
the
or other.
grizzly bear just ate him. It was hungry finally.
Well, apparently they didn't. They were fine with him until he brought his girlfriend.
Okay.
And his girlfriend,
right.
his girlfriend was there for about a month.
Oh, okay.
Before all of a sudden the grizzly had kind of like a shark, I guess.
I see. Oh, okay. Now you know the rest of that story.
You know what I would do if I was Trump? I would declare all the area on Malibu and Pacific Palisades that burned to the ground. I would declare that a national seashore and disallow anyone from rebuilding.
Well, I mean, right. I mean, it's obviously God's plan, and it's to destroy it by fire. Of course, my favorite scapegoat on this, and sometimes scapegoats deserve to be blamed on this. It's the whole DEI thing. I mean, you got these pictures of these 300-pound WNBA type players who are heading the police department and fire department.
Sure.
And I only blame DEI for like 12 to 14% of what's going on here. But it's certainly that mindset. And it's so that's, boy, there's enough here for us to feast on for a long time.
It's rename it to California to the state of Schadenfreude.
Totally. So here's VDH, Victor Davis Hanson, saying the embattled fire chief Kristen Crowley for 2 years has bragged not of response time, not of preventive strategies to stop fires, not of slashed budgets and water shortages, but instead about her DEI credentials as the first LGBTQ, etc. woman who has hired 70% of her force is either non-white or non-male or non-binary or non-old-fashioned tough guy firefighters. And to that, Victor Davis Hanson, I say, we lost the battle when you started calling them firefighters a generation or two ago. Am I right about that, men? Oh, yeah. The Chicago Bears are looking for a leader of men now. Okay. What's interesting is they're also real big on DEI. They see how this doesn't square. They're trying to, obviously the football players are men, but maybe they shouldn't be men. Maybe they should, as you've heard me say before, at least the kickers should be female. But maybe there should be women on the team as well.
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
The quarterbacks are already women. You can't even touch them.
I think some of those WNBA women are big enough.
I think so. So anyways, there's enough in it for everybody here. Do we have time for... so this guy, Dan McLaughlin, tweeted that the next Korean War will be elderly South Koreans without children fighting middle-aged North Koreans without food. My modest proposal, pardon my Jonathan Swift, the North Koreans can eat their children and then they won't be hungry. So they got the advantage. And one other thing here, I think we should let us honor the memory of Jimmy Carter by having Habitat for Humanity build 1 million houses in California. I want Billy Crystal to live in a Habitat for Humanity house. Okay. But there's no plumbing. It's okay. All right, Bruce Wolf. Got something?
Nope.
Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Why do you see that there's greater expectations? I don't know where I hear that. Because, and then the feedback instead is that the polling is poor. So I don't know how you interpret it that way.
Well, because because I'm a middle child. Maybe it's because I'm a Bears fan. By the way, the Bears are undefeated in 2025, so we're off to a great start.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And, all I can see about Brandon Johnson isn't even making sense there. if you think about it, because Bears fans are not the ones who are held in low regard. It's the Bears management. The Bears fans aren't getting 15% approval ratings. So whatever. I think it was trying to be funny.
I think Kamala started this, actually.
Oh, what did she?
Well, every answer to the question was, look, I was raised in a middle-class family where people took care of their lawns.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll tell you, we've actually improved, though, because now if you've got black politicians saying that they were raised in middle-class families, I mean, think about it, for like a generation or two ago, their grandparents were slaves. So
I think you're missing a couple greats, but yeah.
So yeah, this is progress. Now, as far as I'm concerned, though.
Well, second, let me take that back. Kamala wasn't really raised black.
She's an Indian.
She was raised by her mother in Canada.
Okay.
So I mean,
wait a minute. The next thing you're going to tell me is that Obama wasn't.
Well,
black.
Yeah, raised by his white grandparents in Hawaii.
Are you going to say like Rush
went
Limbaugh?
To a prep school.
Rush Limbaugh, Presidential Freedom Medal winner, that he was a African American or something like that. By the way, did you see the funeral of Jimmy Carter? Some of the highlights there, some of the feng shui, some of the body language, because you've got all the ex-presidents there who are living, and so you've got Jimmy Carter. First of all, it was wonderful that Garth Brooks sang "Imagine," and people have already mentioned this. The atheist anthem in a church, and Jimmy Carter was supposedly a devout Christian, the anti-Semitic bastard. But anyway, so Trump is sitting there next to Obama, and Obama's chuckling with him.
Yeah,
and Obama, and I think they had a lip reader take a look at it too, and I think what part of it says, "Read my lips, no new taxes." That's one of the things. No, but there was something about that they had to meet each other, and I wasn't really sure, what else is going on there, but it sounded like there was some important. And it's interesting. It almost sounds like Obama is still the president, which I guess he was the last 4 years.
Well, the interesting thing that I noticed, let's see, I see Melania, I see all the first ladies. I see Doug Emhoff.
Who don't you? Yeah, exactly. Sorry, stepped on that one.
I
who wasn't there?
I see the vice presidential. Was it the second ladies? I see Tipper.
Yeah.
I see.
Sure.
There. I mean, it's everyone, but there's someone missing. I can't.
Does it rhyme with Michelle Tobama?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I could think is, and I think there's an empty chair next to him, so maybe she was in the men's room.
It could. What if they're just playing like presidential musical chairs, and she's out? Who gets the seat? But they were talking, and the conversation was something like, "I pulled out of that," so I'm wondering if maybe they're talking about Stormy Daniels. There's my pulled out of that joke. I promised it to you earlier. Okay.
In the pre-show.
Yeah. So Trump says, I pulled out of that. It's the conditions. Can you imagine that? And Trump, and after I will. And he asked, call me at the foy after yep. And Obama says, it should be good. And they wanted to talk elsewhere. I mean, do you have any realistic idea? As we're taping this hasn't been poured over. I'm sure it will be, by the time anybody watches us. But what do you think they're really? Any idea what they're really talking about?
Well, but so I had an idea until you gave me the transcript, and now it sounds like they're arranging a pickup time for the transfer of the nuclear football.
That is so funny. I mean, you had me going there for a second. I'm thinking, wouldn't they delegate that? Like Hunter or somebody? But But
It's
right.
no, originally I thought it was it's like, oh, you picked a winner there, Barack. Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know.
I
It's
was
a
wondering,
shh, shh, she's right in front of us.
actually, in all truth, I'm, because I'm really sensitive about this. I'm worried about Trump going back on his word, but it almost sounded like he was trying to get out of supporting Israel fully. But I'm just paranoid. I'm just
Yeah.
paranoid about that.
Yeah,
And I
that's
don't know
just
why he talked to Obama about that anyway. So, but it's interesting. But it's just, they know everybody's watching them too. So it
right.
reminds me of when I used to be on TV news. Have you ever watched the end of newscasts
Sure.
when the credits roll? And then
they
the
start talking. They start
pretend that
talking.
they're talking to each other, but really what they're saying is, "Oh, David Muir, I love the way you hid that clothespin on your jacket behind you right now." The thing I used to do, and I'll show the visual on this, and I'll try to describe it. But you know how news anchors would shuffle their papers at the end of the newscast, and even though they were never reading it because they have teleprompters. And nobody uses the papers anymore or even follows them on the script. Maybe you should if the prompter goes bad. But so, and then you'd see them like organizing the papers, and they lick their index finger and then, flip over. So what I used to do was I would lick my left index finger and then flip the pages over with my right. And I just do that throughout the credits. Just like, and I thought that was like a Naked Gun worthy kind of thing,
Sure.
like with Leslie Nielsen walking through everybody in a freeze frame, and he's
a little too subtle.
I thought it was over the top because you see me sitting there with the credits rolling and everybody else is, pretending to talk, or maybe they're really talking, but they're not talking about the news. I can tell you that much. And I'm licking my left index finger and then flipping the page over with my right index finger. And I thought, why didn't I get into the Carol Marine Silver Circle jerk, honoring people who were in the business in Chicago for 20 years or more? I don't know. That enough would have qualified me. But, hey, it's not about me. It's also about me talking about Greg Gumbel, who also died while we were gone. Did you have any big thoughts about Greg Gumbel?
Not really.
Okay. Yeah, neither did I. But it did give me a chance to just say a fellow former Channel 5 sportscaster. I think he's probably in the top 10 of former Channel 5 sportscasters. I being number one, of course. And this Layla Rahimi being number two, even though I saw her just once, but I thought she really knew what she was talking about, which is she probably knew more than anybody else who ever covered Channel 5 sports. And I don't know why she was let go or didn't come to an agreement. I'm hoping it's just money, and I've offered to do that job again in between segments on this show. Now, of course, from Chris finally chimed in here, first time in 2025. He said, because she's awful. Chris, I mean, it's first of all, it's TV sports highlights. It's doing Bulls highlights. You can't screw that up. That's 99% of it. And then you have a little funny kicker at the end. What made her awful on television? I thought she was fine. I think she's a cutie pie too.
Well,
I mean, I don't like.
She's not cute. She's not cute. Also, she was on Comcast Sportsnet for years before she got the 5 gig.
Yeah.
And she was awful there as well. And her voice is annoying. And I think she's on the Score now as well. Or she got fired from there recently.
Yeah. No, she didn't get fired from the Score.
Oh, she
left the Score. She left the Score in order to take the full-time job at Channel 5. I happen to think she's very intelligent.
Got the husky voice too that I can't stand.
And I think, it's got character, the voice, but
it's got Big Mike character is what it's got.
She looks at, I got to tell you, but you and I disagree on so many of these things, like Jason Benetti, Steve Bannon. What do we agree on? I'm not even sure. But anyway, where are we?
Because I'd put Gian Greco at the 2 slot after you at Channel 5. So
you actually put Gian Greco in the 2 slot? Well, all right. I appreciate that.
Well, while we're talking about death, I think in the last episode of the season, I think I called it.
You called Carter.
Yeah, we
Did
were
you
we were
think
talking
Carter
about,
was going to? Did we have a
talking
Deadpool?
about we were talking about a death pool, and I said I don't know if Carter's going to make it
Well,
to the
first of all, why
2025
did you
death
let
pool.
me go on this little self-absorbed talk about myself? That's a bulletin. That's something you should have interrupted with. You should have said, "Hey, man, I called Jimmy Carter dying before the year is out." That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So it's so the only one left on my pool is Dick Van Dyke. I think that's why Carter did it too. I think he purposely decided to screw up everybody's death pool.
Yeah. I'm now you got me thinking about Dick Van Dyke. I can't bear to lose him. Do you think he'll be like have an ottoman over his, instead of a tombstone, and hey, come and the epitaph will say, "Trip over this," that
An ottoman with a crying penguin sitting on it.
is from Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
And
are
everybody
two
should
biggies,
do
right?
Everybody should do bad British accents in honor, because that's where we all learned our British accents. We're from from
Mary
Rob Petrie.
Poppins.
Yeah, that's where we learned them all from Dick Van Dyke. Did we? Okay, real quickly here. Did you see this? Chick-fil-A, I think Scott Lincecum tweeted this. Chick-fil-A has these robots now that are going to be able to squeeze lemons. There were a lot of people that were being injured in these factories, and but
I think we should save that for the next segment.
Really,
yeah. Sorry, we're out of time.
Well, all I just wanted to say was, wanted to say that
I might have more to say about it.
Well, all right, we'll bring it back. All right, that's a little teaser.
Let's just tease it
on the weekly wrap.
I'm not saying I've done anything right, but I made my mind up a long time ago. I was going to work with my kids. They're involved in everything. They're involved in my leasing, oil and gas, real estate. And so when I got the Cowboys, I got it so that we could all work together.
Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. So I saw this Jerry Jones clip, and supposedly, I mean, it's not acting, but it is acting. He's doing a great job because it doesn't sound wooden. And it's not like Brett Favre and There's Something About Mary. Did you see Brett Favre? He stood there like a cardboard cutout, a pale imitation of himself, and he could barely move. And that's the way these athletes.
What is that company that makes the full cardboard cutouts for gay children to have in their room?
Oh, there we go. So but it's but Jerry Jones looks really good in that, and he's with some heavy hitters with John Hamm and Billy Bob Thornton, and he's talking about raising.
Well, you're not going to talk about the plot. I'm going to have to go because I'm not.
Oh no, we won't talk about the plot.
Okay.
Won't talk about the plot. I don't want you to have to cover your ears. But he's just talking to them, and he looks really good doing it. Huh. What I was a little concerned about was I was hoping that Taylor Sheridan, who writes all these things, and he's the genius behind the whole thing, would have written Virginia McCaskey into the script. Maybe have her give John Hamm a blood transfusion or something like that. Okay. Go ahead.
Bruce, when you were watching that, like 2 sentences in, I thought the same exact thing. I cannot believe Jerry Jones is doing such a fantastic job.
No, he was great.
Unbelievably great, though. I mean, ridiculously good.
No, if he wins a Golden Globe for that.
I mean, it was fantastically good. You'll see it, Tim. It's it's like episode 9. So
I'm not there yet. I'm on 5 right now. So
right,
next week we'll be able to talk about it.
All right, we've talked about this stuff before. Whether I can talk about Taylor Sheridan at all or not, you tell me. I may have even talked about this before because I don't have any short-term memory anymore. So did we talk about the show 1923? I think it is.
I don't know if we did, but I watched that one. So
is that the one with the Native American young woman who gets punched in the face?
That's
over and over?
1883.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
1883.
1883. I watched that one as well.
Okay.
So we can talk
So
about
here's the
1923
thing.
is Harrison Ford.
Yeah, so she's this Native American young woman gets punched in the face over and over and over on a number of occasions at this Catholic school. Even the nun is, the nuns are doing this to her. The priest is doing it to her.
Sure.
And she doesn't even get so much as a chipped tooth on her Pepsodent Smile. And you'd have to have a heart of stone not to think of Airplane when the people line up to slap, including a nun does it, to slap the panicky passenger. I mean, Taylor Sheridan, it's everything is so beautifully authentic. You see Fort Worth. I mean, it is gritty, it is dusty, it is dirty. But I swear, I wanted to see the sign for the Howard Johnson's shop with one flavor in an homage to Blazing Saddles, because it's just so over the top.
Well, I don't know that it's that he's actually that painstakingly accurate, because by 1883 there was a transcontinental railroad. So
are you telling me they didn't have to take that trip?
Yeah, why the heck? And how did the German immigrants end up in Fort Worth, Texas?
Well,
I mean, they pretty much would have come. They would have come into Ellis Island and taken the damn train all the way to the coast.
I got to tell you, this is your Sam Kinison moment, where Kinison shows up in the 1883 script. Okay, and he says, "Well, why don't you people just take the damn train? You don't have to starve here. You don't have to." The poor blonde girl gets an arrow through her heart. Spoiler alert! It wasn't through her heart. Okay. Oh my goodness.
What about the damn train?
Yeah, just take the train. Well, of course, now in 1923, you've got the Dutton there, who's the crocodile hunter. He's the lion hunter. He's the elephant hunter. And of course, they're for a second they're on top of a dinghy or a tugboat, and they're lost in the ocean, and these sharks are swimming around them. And I so much wanted to see Fonzie just jumping over one of those sharks at that point. But you know what? We're both addicted to that. It's great, isn't that?
Taylor Sheridan's amazing. Yeah. It's he pretty much owns Paramount Plus at this point.
It's his network. He owns it.
They should call it the Sheridan Network.
These stars. I mean, I half expect Meryl Streep to be in 1901, because there's a gap between 1883 and 1923. They got to get Meryl Streep in there. It's Jack Nicholson is going to be because they're getting everybody.
Yeah,
and they
it's he's the guy. He's the golden boy in Hollywood. Everyone wants to be in a Taylor Sheridan series.
Can I tell you, does Billy Bob Thornton, because I've seen him in a few things, although I didn't watch Sling Blade for some reason 35 years ago, but is he, when he's doing that accent, is he imitating Hank Hill? Because I swear the voice is the same. Bobby, you better get him. There better be a cheerleader underneath that bed, or you're in trouble. I mean, but they're fantastic. All right, let's. I hate to move on to. Okay, let's go back to the tease that we did. Chick-fil-A has got these robots that are squeezing lemons so that people don't have to get injured in the factory. And so help me, if you step on my joke that I prepared for this. Go ahead.
No. Why don't you get it out first, and then I'll finish.
Then you got to think of something else if that was your joke.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to say something like that's nothing. The Longshoremen's Union can squeeze blood out of a turnip. Okay, all right. Now you go. That wasn't that good. So go ahead.
Wow. Wow. Maybe I should have let you go to end break.
Okay, exactly. Wasn't worth the wait. So
no, it's just interesting to me. I did not know they went through that many lemons. The Chick-fil-A went through that many lemons. And that poor high school girls were sacrificing their fingers for Jesus.
Well, I mean, yeah. What do they use lemons in for? I mean,
well, I had to look it up. Lemonade. Apparently, they fresh squeezed lemonade is so that I don't know though if you squeeze it and then ship it. I don't know if you can still call it. I have a feeling that it'll actually hurt their product if they're doing it at a facility in Los Angeles and shipping it. It doesn't because you've had the bottled lemon juice. It does not taste as good as
Let me
fresh
ask you
squeezed.
this. I'm wondering who was treated worse by Chick-fil-A, the high school girls or the chickens? I'm just I'm just wondering about that.
And the main reason why they're doing it because they can now squeeze lemons on a Sunday.
And now we're not talking about their hot fudge sundaes. Yeah, right. I doubt that Chick-fil-A's plants. That's a good joke. I'm not going to ruin it with facts. I'll bet you they don't even have their plants open on Sunday.
Yeah, but they don't need anyone there. They just
I don't even.
They just let the pagan robot squeeze the lemons.
I don't think they even make the in the Jewish religion, of course, we don't like. If you're really religious, you don't make the cows work and things like that on the Sabbath.
Oh no, you've got to turn off the refrigerator light.
Yeah, right.
So that it doesn't go on when you open the door.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if the good Christians at Chick-fil-A won't even let the robots work on Sunday. It's interesting. Does AI have a soul? Let's ponder that one for the couple of minutes that we have left. So the Bears are thinking of hiring your Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, as their head coach. Your thoughts, sir?
Great. Yeah. So if the Lions don't make it this year, let's make sure they never have another chance.
Right. Because he's considered the genius. I mean, we've been through this before. And it's
the genius who's taken the Lions as far as they've gone. It's
well, I mean, and they could win the Super Bowl.
I'm actually paying attention to football this year.
Yeah, I mean, they should get through the NFC anyway. Olin Kreutz. NFL rumors: insiders feel Ben Johnson may stay with the Lions. He'll never have more leverage than he has now, I don't think. Anyway, Olin Kreutz, former Bear, who's a media guy now, says the Bears need an old hand to help out the young Ryan Poles, the general manager. A mix is always good. I don't have any expertise on that, but it reminds me of when Leonard Bernstein and Jerome Robbins thought they needed new blood, but not too much. And they brought in a fellow named Stephen Sondheim. The rest is history. And that's what I call changing the culture. I don't know if that works for you in this sports talk segment.
I actually think you're the only sports guy who can actually cite Broadway, Bruce.
You know what? There's a guy named Matt Spiegel on The Score who loves Broadway, is a show tune guy. And he is the voice of Chris would know this. It's that window company. He did the jingle for them. I once heard him actually diss the company. It'll come to me after the show is over, but they've been using it for years. So that guy is very musically oriented, but it might just be me and him. It might be. And finally,
now that I think about it, it's every gay man I've met said that they loved watching football growing up.
Oh, okay. And I don't know that it's the Feldco. Call for Feldco. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's great. Very memorable. One other thing, there was a debate on the Score this week. Who was more impactful, Sammy Sosa or Derrick Rose, who they just had a day for and they're going to retire his uniform? For me, that's a tough one because Sosa took steroids, but I took the SAT for Derrick Rose. So it's a coin flip as to who was it. We didn't have time to talk about Skip Bayless paying, allegedly offering $1.5 million to somebody, to a hairstylist to have sex with him. And that's just a humble brag, because what sportscaster has $1.5 million to do that? But he did that. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.